So, welcome everyone to Carving a New Path. My name is Andrea Hyland. I'm the host of this show, at least originally, because lately I'm feeling like Marie and I are co-hosts of this show because we're having so many rich conversations. And I really appreciate you being here once again, Marie. This is Marie Ek Lipanovska. I'll just tell you, listeners, a few things about her that she helps women become a good mother to themselves and to develop a deep and personal relationship to God. She does this through meditation, writing, and art. And she is a writer, illustrator, artist, and meditation teacher, and also the founder of Heal My Voice Sweden and a publisher of 13 books. And Marie and I met back in 2009, 2009, I think it was. Or yeah, I think that's when.
Then the coaching program started in 2010.
Oh, it did. Okay. So how time flies.
Yeah.
We met there and have had many conversations and collaborations. And so I encourage you to listen to some of our other conversations because we talk about it in different ways. And today I'm really feeling like let's just get into the topic. Today is part 6 of a 12-part series called Unfolding the Gift from God. And the focus today is home. So, Marie, as we were both sharing before we got on the call, it feels like there's a lot stirring within our bodies, that the energy is stirred up in the body. And I find it really interesting that that's what we're both feeling with the conversation of home. So I'm not going to put my twist on that yet. I'm going to hand this over to you and just ask you to begin with whatever's bubbling up for you about this gift from God, home.
If I would have, had a conversation last week with you, it would have gone in another direction.
Mm-hmm.
So this is interesting. It's always so interesting. Being a good mother to oneself is, just being with whatever is in the moment. And my body is really speaking with, big letters.
Mm-hmm.
I have this, it's almost like I'm stuck in my solar plexus.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when you're being pregnant and at the end of the pregnancy, the stomach is so big, it's pushing up to your lungs and breasts. So that's where I am at the moment. So it's very interesting. But when I sat down in the sun just an hour ago and just felt like, oh, I just need to be with my body, just relax into my own body, feel the sun, hold my hands over solar plexus. Then I realized that home, I saw this different aspects of home. And I realized that I had to write it down so I wouldn't forget. But I have an eternal home.
Mm-hmm.
That's God. And I see it as something beyond. So not from this world. And then I have this long-lasting home, Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a home as in a house or an apartment, and that's only temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people live in the same place as they grow up and all through their life. And nowadays we move more often. So that's just temporary.
Mhm.
And then I have a long-lasting home in my physical body
Yeah.
and a eternal home within my soul. So I just saw these 5 levels, and how the house, the apartment, where we often put our energy, time, money, that is temporary actually. We
Mhm.
put so much energy into the place where we live that we neglect the eternal home with God, Mother Nature, our own body and soul.
Yeah.
And just realizing that my body and soul is a reflection of Mother Nature, Mother Earth, and Father Sky. And how I don't want a home to block that, the home, the place where I live, should also reflect that eternal and long-lasting home.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's just one thing that my body was telling me, that remember this, there are 5 levels of home. Don't put too much energy into one so that you neglect the other one.
Mhm.
Remember that there is a long-lasting home within you, but also beyond you. So go visit both. And there is this eternal home. Go visit both, my own body, Mother Nature. So, and what I also realized was that when I was listening to my body and soul, of course, because they're one, and this pain in my solar plexus that I have had for, I think, a week or something, I realized that I wanted to do what I have always done, and that is to release. I thought, this is something that I need to release. But when my body was speaking about the different levels of home, I realized, no, this is my soul rising within my body and wants to pierce through solar plexus. So it's nothing that I'm going to let go of. The energy is moving in the opposite direction.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's like the eternal soul and my long-lasting body wants to move through before I enter a new home, an apartment, a house, or wherever I'm going to live next. So yeah, so there is so much going on.
Oh my gosh, I've got
In
so
my
many.
bones,
Yeah.
so.
I have so many things coming up, so many different memories or thoughts about this. And just to let the listeners know that Marie and I have both had different experiences with home. I mean, we both have had partners, children, and our own uh, experience of living with people. So I just want to say that we have a wide variety of stories we could tell you about the places we lived or whatever. But and I have been living house free, a digital nomadic life for 10 years now. It's going to be a 1 year thing. And then I cannot believe it's been 10 years and different experiences with that every year. During that first year, I spent 6 weeks in Sweden with Marie in her home, in her physical home, and in connection with her soul and God and all the different things and Mother Earth and all. But there were a couple things that came up for me as you were speaking, so I'll just speak a few of them. I moved a lot when I was growing up. My dad was first in the Marines and then was looking for work outside of the Marines. And the job that he got, we would move frequently. It's like he'd get a promotion, they'd move us to another part of the United States. And so I moved 12 times by the time I was 15. But one of the moves where I felt most at home in whatever that definition is was in Dallas, Texas. And I really grieved the our moving at that time. I was 9 years old, and I grieved it for a lot of my life until I went back. I think I was in my 50s. And I was driving around the country for a variety of reasons. But when I went back and I saw the home and I drove around the neighborhood and I found the circle where the kids would play ball games and drove to the school, I got this clear message that I was never meant to live in one location or even in that location, that that wasn't the life that I came here to live. It just felt really clear. And when I saw that and I felt that, I realized that I can create community anywhere that I am. And this was just the beginning of social media, too. So it wasn't even like I had that as a reference point. It was just a beginning. It was just beginning. But it's like I can create community wherever I am. And I began to realize that I am my home, that I could live anywhere physically, and that the physical body was part of taking care of. And I agree, it's my relationship with God, it is my relationship with my soul. The the actual house or apartment is just something that defines my identity in some ways. And so by living in different places, it's a place that I can, you know, nourish whatever the space that I'm in. But I can also do that if I'm pet sitting someplace for a week. I can bring in love and harmony and care into that particular home with those particular animals at that particular time, but that it does not define who I am because of a particular place I live, a particular house I live in. Like those are just temporary situations. Yeah, so I'll just stop with that because there were a couple of other things that were coming up, but I'll just stop with those two places of recognizing that I could live anywhere in the world with this physical home that my soul is in right now, which is my body. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much bubbling when I listen to you. So it's good to lose your home. Both you and I have done that.
Mm-hmm.
We have experienced that, and I have experienced it a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And not from neglect,
Right.
from outer circumstances that I actually cannot, control. So it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
interesting. So a home, also a house or an apartment or wherever I live, is a gift because it's a place where hopefully one can relax, be in your own energy. It's a shelter, from rain and yeah, whatever. So a home is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Physical home is a gift. Just like God is the home, for our soul, the eternal piece of us. That's also a gift. And Mother Nature, Mother Earth, is our humanity's home and all living things. And it is all gifts. And when we treat them as gifts, something changes. When we can own a house and still treat it as a gift. And so one of the things that I have asked myself, why? Why has life, made me homeless a couple of times? When I have been really taking care of the apartment that I have rented, for example. So why? There's no reason. And it's when I look at myself now with the different aspects of home, then that I realize why. Because I couldn't hold the home because I was not at home. I was not home in myself. I hadn't found God. He was still beyond, this life. And I was not connected to nature as my home. So losing my physical home helped me to come home. Because the child I was once, I grew up with a mother who was present, but a father that wasn't. He was an alcoholic. My mother had a natural connection to the land, to Mother Nature. She grew up on a farm with cows, But somehow, I am the youngest of 4 siblings. I was born and raised in a city. So I didn't have, I like nature, but I didn't feel like she was my mother. Home for, all these living creatures, including me. So I realized when I was lying in the sun that the child that I was as a young girl, she had this hole inside of her. She was not home. And I had to find that child within myself, who knows that God is my home and Mother Nature is also my home, and have this, natural connection to the father and the mother, and feeling safe and nurtured and loved, and whatever I need, it is out there because it's a gift. It's nothing that I can earn. It is a gift. The food in nature is a gift. The Holy Spirit is a gift. So I needed to lose my physical home because I really loved the home. It was a treasure to me. I like spending time at home to gather family, and it has always been a place where other people can feel safe. Come and rest, come and eat, come and cry, whatever. So it didn't make any sense, because God, I'm using my home as a community for others to feel safe. So why do you take it away? Not once, but twice. So, but I realized I needed to go all the way back to my eternal home in God, within myself, my long-lasting home within my body. And it's from that place of home that I'm now rising back and understanding what kind of home I want to have now to live in. What do I need now? And why do I need it? So, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
really connected.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm going through I mean, I feel like sometimes that we associate our own security and stability with a home. And yet for me also, I was in an abusive marriage where I didn't really feel safe in the home. I definitely could not invite people into my home because the behavior was so unpredictable and the kind of punishment afterwards, whether it was emotional, or whatever. And the yeah, so just because you have a physical home, it doesn't necessarily mean it's actually a representation of who you are and why you're here on the planet. I feel like living, um, I would never have in my mind made a decision to live house free for this amount of time. And the gift in it I mean, it started out because I just felt like I was always needing to generate more money to pay for things. And because I was working so closely with women around trauma, loss, and grief, and had healed my voice, there was just a point where I felt kind of burned out from like one more thing, one more thing, one more thing to create just to pay rent or pay for all the expenses. And rent seemed like, okay, I'll just take for a year. I'm going to go and live with women who've been part of Heal My Voice. I'm going to get a chance to see their lives interact on their terrain, their earth, their part of the earth. And I'll learn from that. And then I will know what the next step is in offering programs and things like that. Like that was my original thought. And it was a good thought because I really did get to be a part of women's lives and meet their animals, meet their children, be on their land, eat at the same table, every day. And because it's been going on for 10 years, it's given me an opportunity to really be in community with people in a way that I had always longed for anyway. I mean, the house that I owned in Baltimore, the last house I'd lived in for 10 years, my husband called it the community house. And right away, he's like, I found your community house, and he found the house. And we renovated that house. We did all the work ourselves, well, most of the work ourselves. We hired someone to put in 27 windows because there were 27 out of 36 windows that were broken, that were smashed. It needed renovation. And we did have beautiful community gatherings in that home. Had a group of families who came over and planted a garden together and, just all kinds of wonderful things in that home. And when he died, I tried to hold on to that. And it was like, no, it was our project, actually, even though he considered it my community home. And he would go down the street to his business every day. And and before that, I had this desire to be part of a co-housing, which was like people would have their own individual homes, but you'd have these community spaces for eating dinner together or gathering in the community space. Like I was always drawn to that. So what is the gift that God brought into my life being a house sitter, pet sitter, staying with friends for extended periods of time where I wasn't on vacation in their homes. I wasn't like that kind of a visit. Like I'm coming to visit and we're going to do everything together. No, we're actually going to live together for a period of time. And we get to know ourselves in those kinds of places. You know, right now I have a bedroom in one of my daughter's homes now. Her intention was that when they bought the house, there would be a room that would be mine, not a guest room that other people would use, but it would be mine. Although I have always said to her, whenever I'm not here, feel free to have someone come and sleep here, you know, there's a bed. Um, and there are things that she and I have really healed in our relationship because I spend months at a time in the home. I've been able to be a part of my grandchildren's lives because I've physically been here. And then I take this beautiful body of mine to another location and I, you know, rest or write or stay with other people and have different experiences. So the gift of what our home looks like without judging, without thinking that it's supposed to look a certain way. Like I don't know if this will be the way that I live my life until I die. I have no idea. I mean, well, actually, I would be surprised if this is, you know, that I had another 20 years like this or so. Um, and it's all a mystery. And that's part of the relationship with God and our souls and even the calling of where to be located on Mother Earth. Because I do feel like sometimes I'm drawn to an area because there's something that I need or Mother Earth needs, and there's a connection that's there that's important to be there. Yeah.
Hmm. I remember back in 2010, I had this amazing apartment. And I actually didn't realize until a couple of days ago why I loved that space so much.
Mm.
I could finally, understand what it had that made me totally fall in love the first time I saw it. I lived there for 3 years and then I sold that apartment because I felt just like you, I need to generate so much income to hold on to this apartment. I
Mhm.
love the apartment, but I love God more. And 3 years earlier, when I bought the apartment, I had left a marriage because I felt I need to put God first. The desire to listen to my heart and to follow my soul's path was, yeah, it was so loud, the soul was screaming, I will
Mm.
die if you don't make a change. So when I sold the apartment, I felt I need to walk this path.
Mhm.
And I want, to have those money, not anchored into a apartment, but I need those money to live my calling and my purpose. And for some weird reasons, it was hard to find another home. So it ended up me renting another house and then another house. And, the money was just going in, super speed. Just, where are all the money going? So, but looking back, I would have done it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing that I held on to was, okay, I need to create safety for my children because I have 3 children.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yes, this is my calling. This is God pulling me closer to him, but I'm also mother, so I need to take care of them. And I'm very glad that their father found an apartment I think he lived there for 10 years. So he became that stable place.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I realized looking back that so much of my identity was connected to the home. I
Mm.
was the mother, I was the nurturer of other people. Um, and also my last home where I spent on 8 years living on a farm. I rented an apartment. And I think I would have lived there if she hadn't made that decision to take over also my apartment, the landlady. Looking back, I'm glad that she made that decision, that she released me from that part, that continued to be that mother, more to others than to myself.
Mhm.
And just like you, I have spent 2 years with my oldest daughter now in her apartment. And we have healed so much, and we are we have this great relationship. We are both mother and daughter, but also friends.
Mhm. Yeah.
And she just took me to a mini vacation, camping, and I just let go,
Mhm. Mhm.
She fixed everything. So, and because I don't have a home that I need to pay the rent for, and take care of, I could spend almost 2 weeks with my mother
Mhm. Yeah.
when she got sick.
Mhm.
So there are so many gifts of losing my home. It is different if I would not have had, children that had homes so I could, rest in their place.
Mhm.
So someone needs to have a home.
Yeah.
If it's not me, then someone else. And that's, the shared, what do you call it? If we not see our homes as our own properties, I own this, but as a gift, then my home can be a gift to another person. You were there for 6 weeks. My oldest daughter that I now have spent 2 years with, she lived with me rent-free for a year. So my home was
Yeah.
also a gift to other people.
Yeah.
So it's allowing the home to be a gift, my body to be a gift. And it can be that when I enter my mother's space and I can help her when she's sick. The soul speaking through our conversations is a gift because I'm home, so I can speak from that place of home.
Mhm.
Where I'm not afraid of losing a home and security because my safety is now within me.
Yeah.
I still need a physical home. I don't want to sleep outside.
Right. Right. Yeah.
All people need shelter. So I would do it all again. And just coming to that point that, oh, it was not a failure. It was a decision back in 2010, letting go of home as the safe place and my identity as a mother and friend and whatever, entrepreneur, business owner. I can still be that without that outer home, physical. So, yeah.
Well, and the thing that comes up for me too is the recognition of having the gratitude for whoever is the steward of a home. Because I know, as I referred to the last home, that I'll use the words owned, but I felt like I was a steward of the land. There were 3.5 acres there, and that there were people who stayed in my home for periods of time. One friend, her husband was renovating their kitchen, and she just came and lived it. We just shared the home and shared cooking and shared taking care of the kids for weeks while he was working on that kitchen in the evenings after working. And there can be like the thing tied up with this whole identity is thinking, well, I have more value if I'm the one who has the home and can invite people in. We all need to practice giving and receiving and understanding that the value of our presence in a home where I mean, something that I noticed the first year of doing that was that there were times where I would arrive at a home when uh, someone had just had a death in the family, or there was an animal who was sick, or there was someone who was going through their own kind of, I'll just call it identity crisis of who am I? And something was changing in their lives. And so, because I was in the home, I was also able to listen or cook a meal or share just share the space of what was happening, bringing my presence into the home. And it has taken me a long time, and I'm not, believe me, it's not mastery, it's mastery in the moment of just being in touch with my own value of being there. That my value is my presence in a home. There's a reason that I'm there. And that has as much value as being the one who's paying the rent, and so I don't know, there's something here for us to all really understand and appreciate about the gifts that we have and how we are in connection and community with one another. There's I was listening to a show that was talking about a program in Houston, Texas, where there's a commitment to having a home for every person who is homeless. And that once their recognition that having a space, having a place that is indoors with your bed and a kitchen and a bathroom and a shower, that's the first place of restoring dignity and
Yeah.
creating security for someone. And then if the person who's homeless needs other, um, physical care or mental health programs or help with finding a job or all these other things, that's the next step after having the home. But everyone is treated with dignity and security first. And then from there, looking at what other programs in the community would help the person to rise, to be sovereign, to be independent, to have that. But yeah, the whole I know that part of my take on life was um, running out of money once we had arrived in California, my daughter and I had, and living on the edge of eviction for like 2 years. And and just what I learned about the system at that point, or realizing that, oh, there's this note on the outside of my door saying if you don't pay your full rent within 30 days, you'll be evicted. And noticing how many other doors had that notice. Like I might have just not even paid any attention to that. And then going to the court system and asking, so what happens if I can't pay, or is there some way to work with this? And learning about people who were going through things, who were living in their cars, who were um and just the human condition. Things happen. Things happen. There's a death in the family. There's an illness in the family. There's a job loss during a harder time in the world. So I know that when you were talking, Marie, also about like coming home to yourself more, I feel like that's a part of it, that connection to cultivate within our own our own bodies. That's why I say, people are like, "Oh, where do you live? Where's your home?" My home is right here. It is me, it is my heart, it is my connection to spirit, it is my soul, my relationship with my soul. It is right here. And knowing that I do need I function better. I have more to give to the world when I have a roof over my house, had a bed, a bathroom across the hallway, um, that's important. And that is a gift to have that.
Yeah, and I think it's not having your own home. Neither you or I have had to, sleep on the street. So
Right.
that kind of homelessness,
Yeah,
we have always had a home, someone else's home.
that's right. I have a community of friends. I mean, I have three daughters and I have stayed at each of their homes. They've stayed at my home when I've had a home or a physical home. And I have a whole community of people who have who I've stayed with. I have trusted house sitters. We're strangers. We do an exchange where I've stayed in their home, taking care of their animals, as a free exchange.
Yeah.
So yeah. And you're right that neither of us have had a situation where we have I have felt at times that I didn't have a place, I wouldn't have a place, and that really was not true.
No.
It was that I needed to swallow my pride to ask.
Exactly.
That's what it
That's
was.
the big difference. So
Yes.
I think when we're many people, and me included, I was afraid of losing my home because, yeah, because of their pride.
Mhm.
Who am I without my villa or my apartment, or who am I when I'm not able to gather people for dinner, or Who am I as a business owner when I cannot gather people for a meditation group or invite the priest and have a communion in service? Who am I, And I
Mm-hmm.
realized how much I was, attached to that image of me.
Yes, that's it. It's the image of
Yeah.
you, thinking that's what makes you valuable or important or
Yeah.
yeah,
Because that is what they value and I value.
sure.
So I had to lose it twice
Mhm.
to detach that.
Mhm.
And but I can also see that I still have that desire. I like to gather people in my home
Mhm.
where I have created the environment where they feel safe, where I like it when it's beautiful and flowers and when I can, cook a meal for them. That's also, I have found out that that is a part of me. That is actually who I am. It's not
Mhm.
an image that I have created. It's me. When I have my own home again, a house or apartment, whatever it will be, not at the cost of my life or my calling,
Mhm. Right, right.
but as an extension of my life and my calling. I will gather my friends and family again for a meal. I will call the women into my meditation group. I will ask the priest to come so we can have a service in my home. So sometimes it's good to lose something because then you also realize how much, appreciate that and value that is actually an extension of who I am. Not what people want me to be, but who I am. I would do it again and again and again because I
Yeah.
love doing that. But that's different because it feels like, you know, calling the family, it's like, and friends, that's sharing the gift of my home and asking people to come and celebrate a service in my home is like, look, God, my
Mhm.
home could be a church.
Right, right.
Right?
Mhm.
So, so now I know what home means to me
Mhm.
and how I want it to look. So it doesn't, so it is an extension of me, not something that shrinks me or, put a heavy burden on my shoulders, but for me to breathe out and breathe in. So.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't have known that if I haven't gone through all these losses and reclaiming myself and what really is home. So I know now that when I enter someone else's home, I come with peace. I know that.
Mhm.
And when they're afraid of losing their home or something, I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
I know that the only thing that you can often lose is your pride and the false self-image and the false self, not the true self.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see what the future holds for each of us because there is a part of me that's like, I do like to travel to places and stay for months at a time. I do love to anchor into a space. I don't know if I will be able to choose one place ever to stay forever or whatever to have as my home base other than taking care of this body that I'm in. Um, yeah, so I'll see what God has in store for me and what I desire. Freedom, freedom, independence. And community,
Yeah.
the connection of that. All right. It feels like this is a good place to kind of wind it up. Is there something else that you want to share to bring this to a close for today?
I just think, yeah, that we can find home in different levels, just like I said in the beginning, beyond what we see with our eyes and hear with our ears and in nature. If we don't feel at home in nature, then there is a disconnect that needs to be restored. If we put all our energy and money and time and effort in the house and don't look to ourselves, I remember I did that. I was always renovating our home, our house, instead of renovating this body and soul. So,
Yeah.
so just getting those different kind of levels of home in place, I think that is necessary. It's not, you won't find home in one place. They are different pieces of the puzzle in different, in these different layers of home. That's what I believe. So we have to seek that home within us, without out of, in community, without it. So yeah. Oh, there is so much in me. So yeah.
Yeah. So I thank you for the conversation and for the foundation that you set in the very beginning to really define the eternal home, the long-lasting home, the temporary home, the physical home, and the eternal home soul. To the listeners, I would just say I would love to know your experience of home. And so please post in the comments something about your own experience. It feels like there's something about this conversation that is helping us all to expand and see our connection to one another. And so I'll just leave it with that, with that. And to let everyone know that next time, our seventh show in this series of 12, the gift is my friend Jesus. So that's what Marie, that's what we're going to talk about. Yeah.
My
Jesus
friend
is our
Jesus.
friend. Yeah.
He's a gift. A
Yeah.
precious gift.
Yes. So thank you, Marie, as always. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye now, everyone.